guys, I wanted to do another video on the GTI. So what I have here is a build sheet that I had started. I followed it pretty well for the first year or two that I had the car. I've got probably close to another $200 to $2,500 worth of parts that I have put on the car that are not on this list. Basically, when I started this, it was in case I got rid of the car. I wanted to have it well documented so that way I could show it. And the truth is, if you're going to modify a car, I think it's important that people know this. If you ever try to buy a car off of Craigslist or something like that, you'll see a lot of people don't. When you dump $15,000 to $20,000 into a car in aftermarket parts, that doesn't increase the value of the car by anything. You yourself may like the car more. Another enthusiast of that car may also like the car because of those things that you did. But if you don't have similar taste, it's actually going to hurt the value, because even though you may have an exhaust system on it, for instance, the next person to own that car may not like that exhaust. They want to go a different route. They want something louder. They want something quieter. They want, stealthier look, whatever it is. It may not fit them. So the fact that your car has that modification doesn't add value. The second part of it is that they don't know. If I'm buying a car, I want to buy a stock car. I don't want to buy a car that's already been modified unless I know the person that modified it and I know that everything was done properly. A lot of times, especially on things like Craigslist, you find kids that have, they have a Civic and they've souped it up in their mind and they're getting rid of it, and they're asking something ridiculous like $12,000, and I know what the car is worth, so don't lowball me. Those are the type of people that have no idea what the car is worth. They're also the type of people that are probably getting rid of the car because they've modded it to a point where either they don't actually enjoy driving it anymore because it's too rough of a ride, it's too loud, whatever the problem is, or they've done a poor job modifying it. They don't know what they're doing, and they didn't pay for professional installation when they should have, and something is broken. So those are the kind of things that I run into as I try to decide if I want to get rid of my car. First rule, you should save all your stock parts so you can go back to stock. I didn't have room for all of my stock parts. Now I do. Now that we're in the new house and we've got the building and stuff, now would be an opportune time to start a build because I have the space for everything. But that being said, I've got to spend some money. I've got to spend some time and labor to get the aftermarket parts off and stock parts back on if I really want to sell the car. The nice thing is, whenever you part out like that, I'll get more money for my used performance parts than I will pay out for the stock parts that I need to put back on the car. So I can make a little bit of extra money in the sense that the car is going to bring me the same total value, whether I sell it as is or whether I sell it stock. And actually, in some cases, I would get more money if it was stock. So, basically, just wanted to share the build list here. So basically, we did brakes. We did some VCDS software for configurations and monitoring the car, making sure that, running logs, check engine lights, things like that, being able to handle that. Some tools, new wheels and tires. I did an APR Stage 1 intake, an APR Stage 1 tune, more stuff for the brakes. My first boost gauge, my first set of suspension was lowering springs. My full exhaust system, I have hats for two-piece rotors. I won't put those on the car unless I still own the car whenever the hot pads wear out. They're quite pricey. I believe I have those up here. Yeah, $315 for brake pads. So at that price, I don't want to use them I don't want to put used pads on a brand new rotor, especially considering the two-piece rotors are going to cost about $1,000, including the $315 that I've already spent for the hats. So I don't want to put used pads on brand new rotors, especially when they're that expensive, but I also don't want to throw out pads before they're done based on how much money I spent on them. So anyway, getting into this, after I did the exhaust, I did Stage 2 tune. Then I ended up going to the Franken Turbo F23T. I switched my tuning software from APR to Eurodyne. I needed new coils and plugs. I switched to a true front mount intercooler. I did a tune for my transmission to increase the longevity of that with the added power from the motor. And then I did a little bit of cosmetic stuff. I did sequential LED turn signals and puddle lights in the mirrors. I did LED tail lights. I changed my boost gauge to something that I like a little bit better. And then my first problem that I had with the car was my PCB system went out, so I replaced it with a catch can system. And did this dash cubby to give me a little bit more storage space in the car. So as a whole, that's the car. I got the coilovers, of course, and some summer tires at the end of last year. I've now got a different intake on it. I did motor mounts, which are in there as well. I did some aluminum control arms. I did some additional bushings there, polyurethane bushings to firm everything up. The car drives like a dream if your dream is to drive a race car. If you want the comfort of a car that you go and get in at the dealership, that's not what this car is anymore. I'll take you guys for a ride and see if the camera and everything will pick up on how loud the car is now with the exhaust and the vibrations and stuff from the urethane mounts and stuff that I put in, and just see if you guys can, I guess, appreciate how much the dynamics of driving the car have changed by doing all of this to it. And then I wanted to get your guys' opinion. You know, did I ruin the car? You know, it's very much a give and take kind of thing. You know, so there are things that it does better now, but there are certainly things that it does worse. It's not as comfortable of a ride, and it's loud. So anyway, it could certainly be much louder than what it is. So it's not overpowering, but it is certainly louder than stock. So just wanted to get your guys feeling for that. I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and we'll go for a drive.
One of the issues that I sort of have with the car is now that I have done everything that I've done to it, it has lost some of its comfort. You can kind of see as I drive here, I'm a little bouncy. That's because the suspension is set stiffer. The car does handle really great. I'd really like to get it on an open road course, something like mid-Ohio, since naturally we're in Ohio. I don't know if I will ever do that. It's kind of pricey. You know, I think the last time I looked at it, you were talking $300 or $400 at least. But I'm hoping that we can kind of hear some of the vibrations and stuff that have happened as a result of specifically the one biggest thing is I changed one of my subframe mounts, and it is considered a street density. It is rubber, but it causes a lot of vibrations between 1,000 and 2,000 RPMs. So I did download this little decibel app here just to see what it says we have whenever we're cruising. So right now 95, 96, and I don't know if you guys can really pick that up or not, but anyway, so it's got a harshness to it at those lower. It hit almost 198 point something there. So it's got a bit of a harshness to it, and the way that they rate this is they call it NVH, which is noise, vibration, and harshness. So there's noise, there's vibration. I can feel it in the car, I can feel it in the pedals, I can feel it in the steering wheel a little bit, I can feel it in the seats. I can feel the vibrations. Once I get over 2,000 RPM, it really quiets down. So one of the things that I will do is I'll drop it down into sport. In sport mode, you can see I just switched from 6th gear to now I'm cruising in 4th gear. So my RPMs are much higher. That does technically use more gas, and higher RPMs, in theory, would mean that the engine noise is louder. But considering the vibrations from that damper are gone, it's a much quieter ride overall. So that is one option to make it more streetable, but you can see it holds the RPMs a little bit longer. This road is a lot of fun. It is cold out, and I am on summer tires, so I'm not going to push it, but just thought this would be a fun drive to do today. Kind of scenic, you know, kind of out in the country a little bit, but basically, like I said, you know, I've been considering getting rid of the car. I wanted to do a video on it and kind of poll the audience and see what you guys think about the car. Typically I keep a car for about 1.5 to 2 years before I'm tired of it. I have had this car for just over 4 years. I got it I think like 3 months before we had Avril, and Avril, of course, you know, just celebrated her 4th birthday. So you know, I've had this car for a while. It is paid for, so it doesn't necessarily make sense to get rid of it. I paid $25,000 for the car when it was about 6 months old. It had 6,000 miles on it. Now we are at 59,499 miles, and the car has been tuned and on the bigger turbo for the majority of its life at this point. The car still runs strong. It's never left me stranded. I've never really even had issues with it. The one small issue I had was the PCV system failure, and it was just a check engine light at the point that I replaced it. It wasn't a complete failure, so it was just a sign that it was going bad, so I replaced it before it completely failed. Misty knows that I love Corvettes. She's hated all of them until the C7. So she's kind of pushing for me to get a C7 because she knows, you know, that just deep down, that's a car that I really love. And she's kind of pushing for that simply because she knows that it doesn't really matter what I get, we can't all ride in it. So in her mind, get something that when I'm by myself, I can really enjoy. I'm kind of leaning more in the other direction of I'd like to get basically a secondary family car, but one that's just a little bit more fun. The Explorer Sport, especially with the tune, is a blast to drive, but you know, there's certainly other options out there. There's the SRT Cherokee, you know, the Hellcat Charger, the SRT Charger, some things like that that are definitely much bigger than this and may provide an avenue for me to take the family places sooner than what this car would. But those are all very expensive vehicles. You know, you're talking in that 50 grand plus, even in the used market. Like I said, the car, as you can see, when I'm driving around in sport, it's actually, you know, it's not bad. It's fairly comfortable noise-wise. Let's see if the decibels are back. Yeah, so upper 80s, low 90s when I shut my mouth. And if I drop it back down to drive, I suspect we'll see probably just a small increase, because on this road we're able to cruise above that 1,000 to 2,000 RPM range. But yeah, so I don't know what I'll replace it with. This is really me just kind of rambling. I don't know how much of a role the car will play in the channel, so I don't know that that ultimately, you know, we would be making decisions based on a content standpoint. You know, what would we like to make content on? But you know, that may come into play. We'll see. So basically, I guess $45,000 in for easy math, $25,000 to buy the car, and roughly $20,000 in modifications. The car is quick. It keeps up with cars that have V8s from the factory that are purpose-built sports cars. So around town, you know, I don't know that if I got a Corvette and I was commuting with it or running errands, I don't know that it would be any more fun than the GTI is. And of course, the great thing about the GTI is I own it outright. So, you know, options there. Like I said, I've been considering a lot of things. I don't know what I'll get. I am getting older, and one of the things that I do miss a little bit, like I said, is ride comfort. So I'm sort of thinking that, you know, maybe the route to go is start going more towards a luxury brand like Mercedes, get like an AMG GLA 45 or CLA 45, potentially the Lexus RCF or RC350. Which, again, like I said, I'll either buy used or I will lease probably the next vehicle that I get, for the simple fact that, one, it allows me to explore some more expensive cars without being out so much money. And two, Misty's favorite part is that if I lease, I'm very limited to what I can do because I do have to turn the car back in. So I certainly can't go down this path again of creating a $20,000 investment into a car that is now only worth about 12 grand. So anyhow, like I said, just kind of wanted to go for a little drive, talk about the car a little bit, see what you guys say in the comments, see if you guys like the car, if you want to keep the car around for the channel. No matter what I drive, what we have, it will get wrapped. I've got all that material there. Thanks for going for our drive with me. Thanks for spending the time watching our channel, helping us grow, supporting us. I can't say thank you enough. We do look forward to growing the channel and getting a chance to do some collaborations with some of you guys. And I'm curious to see, like I said, what you guys think. Is it worth the money to essentially waste the money on a car that you'll never regain that monetary value out of if you enjoy it, or do you think that there's better ways to spend your money? I certainly won't be offended, because I know that there are better ways to spend your money, but this is definitely a way that I have enjoyed spending the money. So thanks guys, appreciate you watching. You guys have a fantastic day.